So Todd, another Elite League board meeting, the first of 2016. What was the big focus?
I guess the big talking points we discussed: playoff finals weekend coming up at the end of April, or at the start of April, the first weekend in April. Just talked about the release date for tickets, which I think I should really listen to these meetings better. But I'm pretty sure the pre-sales go on, I think, in January 18th, and then a week later regular sales. I think pre-sales, the way they do it is last year, I think Sheffield and Nottingham fans can buy in advance because they have the biggest groups of people coming. And then after that, the rest of the tickets go on sale. And we went through the allocation of blocks, and some of the fans are moved to different blocks this year just to kind of change it up. So.
And I suppose one of the big things there is some fans may hear that and go, "Ooh, hang on a second. Why is there this preferential treatment? This isn't going to impact, is it, if you're a Brayhead fan trying to get a ticket?"
No. It's basic. We've done it the last few years. Maybe people don't know about it, but the way it works is we were allocating the blocks by kind of like basic numbers. So for example, I think Cardiff, I don't remember which block we have, but it's if we normally bring around 350, we've been allocated 450 seats. So, and every team's sort of allocated 50 or 100 more than they usually bring, in case more people come this year. And because the playoff weekend, you kind of have to buy in advance, and you don't necessarily know if your team's there. The way we've done it is we always leave a couple blocks sort of for the overflow, whether it's overflow of Panthers or Sheffield or Cardiff fans, kind of whatever teams sort of make it at the end, sort of fill up the extra seats. So last year it was the biggest ticket sales we've ever had, so we didn't want to really change anything of what we've done. So it's going to be very similar.
All of this information will be out on the Elite League website in the next 48 hours or so people will be able to read through that. You'll be able to find out exactly how you can get tickets. What else was on the agenda?
We talked about the Challenge Cup, final, and more importantly the semifinals. All the dates for the quarterfinals have obviously been announced. It's going to be tight getting in the semifinals just because the Olympic break for Team GB in that second week in February. So you've got some teams that are going to lose 2 or 3 key guys. So teams like Cardiff, like, we're not playing league games during that period. I don't think Belfast are. I don't think Sheffield are. I don't think Nottingham are. And that's kind of the guts of the GB team. So if you take 1 week of February, you've only got 3 weeks to play like a home and home against whoever advances in the Challenge Cup semifinal. So we looked at every scenario between who's playing. Like, so for our semifinal or our quarterfinal, we play Dundee on Wednesday night. Whichever one of us advanced, we sort of looked at dates. If we advance against Belfast, if we advance against Manchester, if Dundee advance against Belfast, if Dundee advance against Manchester, what scenarios of where it works. And really, the only real big issues come when 2 arena teams meet up. So, if Nottingham and Sheffield advance, it's going to be tough to schedule, but they both have available dates. So hopefully it works out.
Referees are another hot topic as ever. I understand you discussed allocation of referees, particularly in this meeting.
Yeah, we talked about some of the teams were saying that they've had the same officials too many times in a row or too many times this season, and that has to be looked at. So we raised a whole bunch of concerns. I know the referees are meeting in February. I think the same date that we're meeting for our next board meeting, the referees are having a meeting, and it's not an on-ice meeting. It's not a training session on the ice. It's more going through video and going through penalty calls, and something that maybe the fans would be interested to know that they actually do. So we're going to start doing that quite regularly. And I think February they're holding one here, and I think they're doing one up in Scotland at some point too.
That's important, isn't it, to make sure that the Elite League continues to develop. Some will feel that the referees don't get maybe the training that they need to be able to compete at the level that they're competing, or take part at the level that they're taking part in. Yeah,
I think as a league, there's always a caveat to talking about referees, because it is a very tough job, and no one would like that job. It's a thankless job. It's fans hate you, and coaches hate you, and players hate you, and you're always wrong, and everyone else can do a better job, and that's just kind of like the life of a referee. But we need these guys to exist in our business, and they are good. They are good at what they do. They're advancing, and they're getting better every year. And referees can never be looked at like a season to season basis. We have to think like long term. So maybe there's some younger guys now that in 3 or 4 years are going to be the key officials. Maybe there's some older guys that won't be reffing anymore. And we want to be able to have sort of a development plan where people can come in and they can develop, and they can start to ref more games, and maybe they're lining in our league and they want to ref, or maybe they're reffing in the league below and they want to start reffing in our league. So there has to be a plan for all that. I think the big thing with officials right now is yeah, like I think fans maybe don't realize, every team watches tons of video on their own games, watches other teams when you're playing. Like if we're playing Dundee tomorrow night, I'm sure they're watching video today and this week preparing for that. And referees have to look at the job they're doing too to improve. So it's up to Simon, who's head of the officials, Simon Kirkham, to show where referees have made mistakes. They need to be more accountable. They need to be shown this stuff so they can improve. It's just like players, and without any sort of guidance, and I think this year they're getting that guidance from Simon. But I think fans don't realize that they are getting it, because everyone has a story. Oh, but he missed this trip and he missed this call, and how does he call that across? It's an in-game decision. The best officials in the world in the Premiership in football are still picked apart for being terrible at their job. So I think it's a developing process, and I think we're getting better.
So another of the topics on the agenda was the Challenge Cup final and what you're going to do in terms of broadcasting this. What ideas did you come up with?
Oh, I mean, we're exploring the options of doing a live broadcast of the Challenge Cup final. We're also exploring a potential highlights package, like a highlights show after the fact with interviews and interviews beforehand and the celebrations afterwards, whatever happens, and that would be on a free-to-air broadcast partner.
Sounds interesting. Is it somebody we've heard of?
Sounds generic, doesn't it? I don't want to really commit to giving too many more details, and it's just something that we're exploring as a group, just exploring other options to kind of get the word out.
It's important that you continue to do that. You have one broadcast partner in Premier Sports, but also you have to continue looking around at other options as how you can get the Elite League message out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think fans need to know that we're always looking. We're always looking on how we can grow our sport, how we can grow the fan base, and getting a game on a free-to-air broadcaster. It exposes to a lot of people that are just kind of channel flipping, and it's an option that has worked very well for the sport in the past, and something that we really are looking into.
Okay, we've got to talk about Goalline technology, something that we discussed at the Playoff Finals weekend last year. The hope was every team would have it by the end of this season. What's the situation with that? How far along the line is the Elite League?
We have, I'm trying to think who has it. Cardiff, Coventry, Manchester have it right now. Nottingham and Sheffield will have it within the next probably month. We are using it, like in Cardiff, for example. Obviously I know that the best. We have someone monitoring it, and if there are goals that are controversial, we'll use it to show the referees, but we're not letting it make a decision. So we might show them in between periods. They might come check it out and be like, oh yeah, okay, that was the right call. We haven't had any that they've looked at and said, oh, that was the wrong call or anything like that yet. But we talked about this last summer, that it was something that we as a league thought we needed to invest in, and we are. It's a process, and it's a rather expensive process to put into 10 rinks, and I think by the start of next season it'll all be paid for, and it'll be in all 10 rinks.